غرباء ولغير الله لا نحمي الجبال، غرباء ولتضيناها شعارا للحياة. إن تسل عنا فإنا لا نبالي بالطغاة، نحن جند الله دوما دربنا.
You kept mentioning hurting people, and that was quite interesting to me. You kept mentioning hurting people, and I wanted to understand why that was the caveat always. No, I just wondered where did it come from? Because if he's talking about this idea of, you know, the animal kingdom, why aren't you preying on this? Why aren't you preying on other people to do your shopping, to take their money? I don't know, why hurting people? Where does that come from?
I'm not gonna do that.
Why?
I'm just saying I can't do that.
I think if I adopted this philosophy of living for these purposes, I would consider doing it.
No.
I would.
That's you. You're a different person, not like that.
Just want to explore this a bit further. You see, there are lots of people, hundreds of thousands of people.
You're right, yeah. Long time, huh? Still alive.
Get back. This is a choice. You can't take that choice away from them, right? But if somebody says, I have teeth designed to choose.
Oh, I was thinking.
I have enzymes in my stomach designed to digest.
Oh, no. I'm just saying if you stand there and I come this way, that's why I'm not telling you to go back.
No. Sorry. Taking the life away. When you say right, I'm saying it is not. No, what I'm saying is it is not justifiable to say you should not eat.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not justifiable. Likewise, this idea that if it doesn't harm anyone, then I can do whatever I like. That doesn't seem to be a justifiable principle, because in nature we see the total opposite.
That's why I'm saying that it's not 100%. It can't be done 100% the way, but you have to try. Not to
So when you say try,
doesn't mean you're gonna reach it.
would you ask a lion not to eat?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not much of trying, is it? But it's not, is it a matter of trying? Is it a matter of trying though? A lion, think about it. Why would you not even try to get a lion not to eat a zebra? It's not life. This is the nature. It's nature. So if we see this as a natural thing, and human beings are also animals in the natural kingdom, because if you don't believe in God, human beings are essentially animals. In that sense, what basis do you have to justify when you see everything behaves the same way and you come along and say, I should try not to? Why wouldn't a lion try? Because it will go against the nature. It will go against the nature, right? You will go against nature. So likewise, if you are an animal, maybe you know God, you will be going against your nature. If you are a harmless person. Why do you say it's nonsense? No, no. Discussions are endless.
There is no way this discussion
No. Do you know why I'm raising this point? No. Do you know why I'm raising this point? As a Muslim, we have standards in which we live our life by. Standards.
We come from a system, society.
Yeah.
We done
so
what led
you to leave those standards?
And we realised it never brings you happiness.
Live your life.
No.
Live your life.
You will not be happy.
Live your life.
If you think about how you live your life, no, just a few points before you go. If you think, if you live your life according to certain principles.
According to what?
Certain
I have my own principles.
Absolutely.
I have very good principles.
Absolutely. Now, are your principles the best, or are there better principles than yours around?
What? Muslim?
I'm asking.
Sorry, what's next?
You live your life according to certain principles. Everyone's entitled to do that.
According to human philosophy.
Human philosophy of no harm, which was we were discussing.
Because philosophy is based on reason. I can prove my own morality. I can tell you why that is good.
Wow, I love to see
That's
that.
as good as it gets.
That's what we were actually discussing. So it wasn't a fruitless discussion. We were
I
talking
don't
about.
have to follow something without questioning. No, I have to question it and prove why it's good. Why I believe in
morality.
it.
No, have you ever been wrong?
This is a very good approach, and that's why we're saying, if you don't believe in God, what would be the standards of morality?
If I don't believe in God, you know, maybe God exists. Maybe.
Do you believe in God?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
So do you get your
In what
principles
way?
of?
What is the meaning of this?
Okay, I'll explain further. Do you take your principles from a divine source?
No, you can't take it because you don't talk to any divine source. But you can think, oh, maybe something exists. But that's
In principle,
So I don't know.
do you agree? In principle, if there is a creator, and the creator gives you a moral code, that moral code, if hypothetically, right? If the creator exists, like you said, maybe, right? Maybe means there could be a creator.
But by the way, it's a good thing it's a good thing. I hope there's a creator because it's a good thing.
I want to explore this point though.
Because
about morality.
It's a good thing to have a superior thing. Don't follow your own beliefs or your own.
So the superior
intentions.
morality would be
I
from
don't follow
the
my own
creator.
intentions all the time. For example, maybe I want to punch someone. I'm not going to follow it. So it's good to think on there's a superior thing, which is morality. In my view. Could be God. It's good. I'm not
Do you
attacking.
agree?
I hope God exists.
So do you agree then, in principle, if there's a creator, the morality that comes from the creator
In
would it be
principle,
best?
I think
would it be
yes,
best?
yes.
Right.
Principle.
So the question.
I can't believe it philosophically. There's nothing to prove it. But in principle, yes, I think
I
it's
don't
good.
understand your question. There's nothing to prove what? The
I
morality
can't-
or the creator?
Creator. I can't believe philosophically. I can't believe that a creator exists. But I think it is a better principle. If
That's understood. So when we say you can't prove there's a creator, how do you disprove there isn't?
no, who say that is
Okay.
That doesn't-
So the question now is, you're in a position where you cannot prove or disprove a creator.
No.
But the fact.
And it will never change. That's not an indecisive. You know, it will never change.
But the reality is, either there is a creator or there isn't. Yeah, right. So if there is a creator, there has to be ways of proving it. And what would be a convincing way of proving it?
Calm down, sir.
You're actually closing all the avenues
Because
of knowledge.
if I
aren't you?
tell you, oh, maybe if I hear a sound from, you know, I could be hallucinating. So there is no proof. There will never be.
So what gives you that certainty there won't be any proof? How are you certain?
Because you can't prove something like this. I can't prove something like this.
No, how are you certain?
How do you prove this?
No, this is the question we're asking. If there is a
I could tell
possibility.
you, I will believe there's a creator if something happens, like a miracle happens. But
Would you?
That could be anything. That could be hallucinating.
Exactly. So, in principle, there has to be a way of establishing the existence of the creator.
But what
If
way?
you haven't found ways of doing that, then perhaps.
you will decide the way.
No, not me.
it works.
That's what we're discussing. There has to be a way of proving
Maybe
it.
I'll tell you, oh, maybe if an animal talks to me, I'll believe it's God. But what does that mean?
My friend, there has to be a way of proving it. If the creator exists, there has.
No,
So if you
there
don't
isn't,
know,
because we want to talk about something that's invisible.
invincible.
You can't decide what is
Gravity.
What is
Gravity.
convincing.
Is gravity visible or invisible? Gravity. If you drop your bottle, would that go up or down?
Oh no, you don't.
No. Because you made a very interesting example. Invincibility. Gravity is not visible.
It can be proved.
Yeah. So you have to now. You have to admit that it is not about invincibility. That's the problem, right? You agree? It is not about visibility or invisibility. Yeah. So the creator's existence and proving the existence of the creator is not because the creator is not visible. Because gravity is not visible, but you can prove it.
No, gravity. You can ask questions about it. Oh, this glass.
It falls because of gravity.
You can ask a question. It's how do you begin to ask a question about God?
If there was no God, would there be anything? If there was no gravity, would that fall? We can ask questions.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But
So
I think it's a different thing.
it's not a different thing. It's the same kind of inquiry.
Because that's
The inquiry is about cause and
very
effect.
specific thing. Why did the plants fall?
Because
It's very, very
the effect of falling was due to a
How
cause.
do you ask, why are we here? That doesn't intrinsically mean, oh, there is a great or it's not the
Would
same
you not
thing.
agree?
It's a very
The reason the line of questioning is this: why does that fall?
Yeah.
Because falling is an effect.
yes.
And we are now attributing a cause to this effect, because what we
There must
see,
be something.
there has to be a cause for the effect. So if, for example, you are here, there has to be a cause for your existence.
Yes,
Because you're an effect.
absolutely.
If the universe exists,
Of course,
or
of
began
course.
to exist,
Of course
there has
it-
to be a cause
yeah.
for its existence.
Of course, yeah.
So we can ask this question.
We can ask this.
Exactly.
Why did we exist? Yeah, you can ask it. There is
When we attributed this
can't
falling
decide the
and
answer
said it was
only
gravity, you see, look, we said this was due to gravity, so you actually put an answer forward. Rather than saying there is no answer why the bottle falls on the ground, you actually went along
Maybe
and put.
there will be an answer. I haven't heard it yet.
Nothing's convincing.
So that's why we need to know what will be convincing to us. I mean, interestingly, you did say if people demand
Evidence is convincing. There is no
exactly what level of evidence.
of anything. No, even scientists, they don't have
To,
They don't have it.
to give you an
They say they
example,
don't know.
to give an example, the skepticism or hyper-skepticism that we are illustrating in this particular discussion. Have you had a brain scan of your own self? Right. So you haven't seen your own brain. Does your brain exist?
Yeah.
What evidence do you have to suggest that your brain exists?
I don't think it's, I don't.
No,
I don't
we
think
just
that
want to extrapolate
You're just asking.
the reasonings that we
Yeah,
use
it's not the same.
in terms of the level of skepticism that we use in everyday thinking. Have you been to Africa?
Well, where?
Okay, maybe you have. Have you
I've
been
been
to
to Africa.
Okay. Have you been to
Egypt.
Indonesia?
Egypt is Africa.
Have you been to Indonesia?
Or you think?
No.
You mean Nigeria?
Have you been to Indonesia? Indonesia.
No.
Right. Does Indonesia exist? Sorry? No, let's try to understand how we build the level of confidence away from skepticism.
Yeah.
No, the reason why I'm using this, look, my friend,
You can do it
it is simple
You can do
to.
it better than me.
Can you Google Indonesia?
I'm addressing what we call skepticism
Yeah.
and how we can be certain in affirming something. For example, when we haven't been to Indonesia, we can Google it. So we are trusting the people who put up pictures in Google or description in Google. So you are relying in what
We are
we
human
call.
beings, of course we have to trust.
Yes.
Look, I don't have a problem with that. So you are relying on what we call testimony.
Yes. Yeah,
So
absolutely. yeah.
if we take that principle,
Testimony,
that
yeah.
testimony is reliable evidence. So now I say, look, Prophet.
Yeah, that's why I think maybe Jesus exists. Yeah.
No,
Jesus
so
exists,
not
Muhammad
maybe.
exists.
Are you saying maybe or definitely Indonesia?
Can you
exists?
put God in Google?
Definitely.
Can you
Good.
go to God?
So now, if we find information that's been passed to us by testimony, there are hundreds and thousands of men of God that receive revelation
This
from
means
God as prophets and messengers,
they're not
and then
the same.
they said, look, and then we relied and trusted their testimony. So if I rely on their testimony and trust the testimony,
Yeah.
and you rely on the testimony of Google,
Testimony.
why are you
Therefore-
going to be
They're not the same.
inconsistent?
The testimony of Jesus is a different testimony from someone who went to Indonesia. That is the point. Please stop being smart.
Second, explain that a bit more. Say Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yes, a testimony of
he
someone
said,
who saw Muhammad is a different testimony
No, no.
from someone
Who said,
went to
"I
Indonesia."
have been-"
Please understand this and
Sorry?
stop repeating the point.
No. Look, you cannot just simply brush the argument away underneath the carpet.
That's why
the
it's
argument,
endless,
no,
classic
the
endless
argument is
discussions. I told you it's
raised.
endless.
You have to show how the argument is invalid. I've given you an example about testimony. Like, you have not an image of your own brain. The testimony that you have is other people, their brain scan demonstrates they have a brain. But you haven't done a scan of your own brain. So you have now made, not testimony, do you agree? You have made a generalization based on assumption that other people, no, this is how your evidence works.
If someone tells you that Indonesia exists, you can actually go.
Have you gone there?
Yes.
Wait. Have you? No, wait. Excuse me, have you gone there yet?
Yes.
Has he gone there? You haven't. So that means
But I can tell you.
See, listen.
I've been there. Yeah, but
If you haven't been there, that means, for example, have you had a scan of your pancreas?
Why should they have that?
Right. Does your
has nothing to
pancreas?
do with it.
Excuse me.
We can continue to discuss
No.
about other topics.
Listen.
Have you studied quantum physics?
You should
A little bit, yeah.
But it has nothing to do with it.
No, the reason I'm asking is, when we want to understand and affirm the knowledge of something, that yes, I'm certain. Are you certain you have a pancreas?
Probably. Yes.
Are you certain? Right. So you're skeptical that you have a pancreas. Do you have a heart? The actual heart, physical heart. Are you certain?
Pounding in my,
Are you certain it's the heart? Have you seen it?
It's a diaphragm.
Exactly. You're not certain. So you're skeptical
So
that you.
Descartes.
Wait a moment, my
Yes.
friend.
You don't
You're
think that
skeptical.
that's the only thing you should
Please,
know.
you're skeptical that you have a heart or not, you have a pancreas or not. I mean, have you had a brain scan?
No,
Yes, sir.
but everything is
Are you
logical.
skeptical? What's
your
I
point?
can just
What's
make
your
a
point?
logical arguments. I can just build myself and
Do you see what
What's
you're doing
your
now?
point? This is
Instead of bringing hard evidence,
He is asking silly
the
questions.
level of
Go
evidence.
Asking silly questions.
Your level of evidence
You have heart,
is
you have brain.
logical. As you
don't
said,
have to
logical
listen.
That's a
evidence.
silly question.
Assumptions
Well,
through
you are-
generalization, testimony. Okay. So, are you absolutely certain that you have a brain?
Good answer, bro.
So you haven't got.
I'm not saying that I have one, so I'm not wrong.
Hang on. So when you're speaking to me, you really think that you haven't got a brain.
No, I just don't.
What makes you think you have a brain?
I don't say I have one. I don't say I don't have one. You just ask me if I think.
Okay, let me ask you. Do you have a brain?
I don't know.
You don't know.
What's your point?
So you might think that you don't have a brain or you have a brain,
I
right?
don't know. I just said I don't know. You're repeating yourself.
No, you really think you don't know, right?
Yes.
Okay, is that an honest answer?
Yeah.
You honestly think that you don't know whether you have a brain or not?
Yes.
Really? Very interesting. So when you go, do you work or study?
I work.
Work. In your workplace, do you use your brain?
I don't know. I managed to think.
Right. So what do you use to do all this work? And,
My hands. I can
your
see
hand.
them.
Okay, and your hand operates through what? By itself?
I don't know how I use them. You don't have a brain.
People say it's the brain that determines the
Do you
movement.
need to know if you have a brain to live?
No, because
Definitely. So you don't
No, no.
need to know if you have a brain to be able
But
to use it.
I'm interested
That's
in finding out if you don't know you have a brain or not. And scientists are telling us it's the brain that actually regulates our movement and so on. So
You
you
need
think?
to believe their testimony.
Do you believe that you have a
I
brain?
don't care.
Do you believe?
I can create a logical construction based on what they're saying if I and not assume anything in the end. Just until I get a proof that it's correct or not, I can assume that it's correct or not. But if the whole logical construction is working, I can not disprove it.
So now you're bringing this question about logical credibility. If we use logical arguments, it's possible that we can accept it as an evidence. Is that what you're saying? So if someone demonstrates to you through a logical
The
argument,
construction can be logical and validated.
validated means you can accept it.
Doesn't mean that the basement is validated.
You're saying validated means it's acceptable.
Acceptable if the basement is validated.
What do you mean by basement?
The basement of like a hypothesis.
The premises.
But
Okay.
if you disprove the hypothesis, the whole construction falls down. It's not.
Yeah. So can you use a logical argument that you have a brain?
So far, no. I need to die and look into my own
Right.
head, skull.
So all your everyday life, because you must have studied, right, in school and in university, wherever, right? And then you never once thought that I may have a brain.
I may have, but it's, as you said,
you don't
it's
know.
only generalization.
So you don't know.
I've seen a brain in a human skull. I cannot prove that I have the same in my skull. I can just assume that given that it's the higher, the most likely.
Let me ask you another very silly question.
Yes.
Are you certain that you exist?
This is an interesting question.
That's what I said. It's silly, but it's interesting. Are you certain you exist?
No.
You know, so
No, maybe as Elon Musk said, we're maybe just a big simulation.
yeah, it could be a brain in a jar, right?
What kind of way
In a
of thinking
museum,
is this?
it could be a brain in a jar.
Do you think you sound rational when you say these things?
No, it's not
And how
rational.
can anyone take you seriously when you say these things?
You're ready to say a brain in a jar. Okay, there's not reality, but you're not ready to
I
achieve.
mean, do you live your life like this in like in oblivion? Like, you don't know
Not
anything.
knowing.
I mean, do you feel good about this? Like, thinking like this? Is it a good way of thinking?
Does it give you peace and tranquility in your heart? Being that kind of hyper-skeptical, does it give you this tranquility in your heart? Who you are, what you hear, what are you doing?
Just because I can build myself on this logical assumption. So far, if you disprove ground hypothesis, I'm just asking for you ground hypothesis.